Well, it's winter 2020. It's middle of January, and everybody's talking about cheating. The Astros have disgraced themselves by stealing signs electronically. Of course, you can get a guy to second base, and he can peer in and try to steal the signs. And that's always been part of the game, but I'm told that pitchers will usually figure out a way to do a pickoff attempt, and the second baseman will step on the guy's hand or something. I mean, it's that even that is kind of discouraged, but that sort of thing has always been part of the game. And using electronics is just altogether outside of the craft of being on the field and using your wits. Actually, the history of that is quite old. Everybody seems to forget about how the New York Giants edged ahead of the Dodgers to win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. Remember that? And of course, you don't remember. I don't remember it either. But that you heard the radio broadcast in 1954. Did you know that the Giants rather, playing in the Polo Grounds during the last month of the season, about the last 40 games, devised a system where they had a guy with binoculars up there in the clubhouse, which was above the center field fence. He would peer in, and they had run something like a telegraph wire all the way, it was like 480, 500 feet into the third base coaching box. And after seeing the signs, the binocularist would send a little message to the coach to let him know what pitch was coming, and then the pitch, the coach could convey somehow that information to the hitter. And the Giants, I don't know exactly how many of those last 40 games, they won just about all of them. And Bobby Thompson swears that he was not tipped to Ralph Branca's pitch, which he hit over the fence for the famous home run. But even so, the Giants wouldn't have been there in that three-game playoff to begin with if it hadn't been for that electronic cheating. So yeah, that stuff makes me mad. It made me mad when the Twins beat the Braves in the '91 World Series by turning on their blowers to push those fly balls a little bit farther. Rather doubt that Kirby Puckett's home run would have, it was a critical home run too. I don't think that would have made it over the barrier if it hadn't been for the blowers. If you want to deprive somebody of title, then why not start there? But I don't think we should start taking away people's championship rings. This is just, I don't want to seem like I'm pardoning the cheating at all, because it always makes me angry. And I think I've talked, in fact, in another video about my son's last game in college was a game that was really marred by all kinds of disgraceful conduct, including the pitchers being told from the bench, obviously, to throw at our best hitter. He was a fast guy whenever he got on base, and the pitcher was, obviously, the intent was to beat up this guy's legs, maybe take him out of the game, but at least make it so that he couldn't run very well. And that, too, I guess, has always been part of the game. It really stinks. It really makes me angry. In that particular case, the umpire let the game get out of hand, but even, you know what, the first experience I ever had at coaching was when my little son, I signed him up for Little League, and I was told, well, he's not going to have a team if you don't volunteer to coach, because we just have too many kids coming out for this league. We don't have enough coaches. So, yeah, sure, I'm a stand-up guy, so I volunteered to be there on draft night. Everybody else in the room knew the names on this list of 200 and something. I knew my kid's name, and our next-door neighbor happened to be on the list. Those were the two players that I knew, so otherwise I was just throwing darts blindfolded at the wall, so to speak. And we somehow managed to win one game that season. These are, I think there were 7- and 8-year-old kids. These are adults indulging in the most disgraceful, pointless, disgusting kind of behavior just so they could win, win, win and get the trophy for their... The kids just need to be taught baseball. They don't really even need a trophy at this age. But this is how the adults were behaving. And I use the word adult with a great deal of reluctance. But hey, I get really angry at cheating. I'm annoyed that it's a part of the game. But I have to say that this electronic stuff is here to stay. And if the Astros got caught, it's because they were really bad at it and really stupid about it. I'll bet every other team in the big leagues is doing something of the same kind. I was saying to somebody the other day, if I'm a 23-year-old and I'm really trying to stay on the big team, what's to keep me from sitting my girlfriend behind home plate with the... She doesn't even have to be behind home plate. She can have an iPhone and she can be watching the broadcast of the game and then conveying the signs, because usually a center field camera, of course, is looking right into the catcher, and she can just say, hey, come on, Rusty, and that's a fastball, and let's go, boy, and that's a curveball, and so forth. Anybody who gives it a little bit of thought can devise his own personal cheat of that sort. So I'm afraid that in this electronic age, this is just... I hate it. I don't, for an instant, want to seem like I am just okay, I'm shrugging about this business. I hated the steroids era, too. And I hear a lot of commentators who are, well, it's just what they were doing back then. We should evaluate them by the standard of the time. Everybody wasn't doing PEDs. We don't know exactly who was doing them, but I'm not okay with that, the way that a lot of people seem to be. Here's my bottom line about all this business, though. I feel that in terms of smallballsuccess.com and this old school dead ball era stroke that we're trying to teach, because we feel that it's, especially for guys with smaller body types, this might be a way to succeed at the game. You know that from my videos and my books, I've really strongly endorsed certain things like standing back from the plate and trying to hit to the opposite field. And to that end, we try to lead with the hands and trail the barrel, and we try to wait on the pitch and see what it's going to do. Hit it almost out of the catcher's mitt, you know. And the whole thing about the emphatic forward weight shift is about that too. The weight is shifting so that we can lead the swing with the hands, and then the barrel's coming through very late. When you're trying to go the other way, you're looking fastball, and because you're waiting so late, you can have a better opportunity to see if the ball is breaking out of the zone. So that kind of helps you on the slider and the curveball too. Maybe you can hold up on those pitches. If you get a change-up or something that really fools you, and you know you're back from the plate, so you're getting your arms extended, and you're waiting on it, and maybe you're going to one-hand it. You're leading with your hands though, so the barrel is coming pretty late anyway, and you've got that forward weight shift, so you're not rolling over the ball or missing it entirely because the barrel is coming back up. You're coming down into the ball all the way, and I've said it before, but I love the way Nolan Arenado does this. I don't know that that's a part of his swing that is widely recognized, but his barrel stays down almost into the ground. He has that little thing with his back foot, which we also talk about that, getting a little hop. He doesn't hop with the back foot, but he resets it right before he swings, and it's the same effect. And the barrel comes down, 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 and imagine that you're fooled on a pitch and you're very early. The weight shifts forward, the hands are leading, the barrel's coming down. Boy, did you mistime that thing, but the barrel's still coming down. And that means that the momentum of the swing is still driving it forward. You're not pulling out into the finish so you're not losing energy significantly, and you can actually one-handed pop that thing pretty good. And you can, since the barrel's coming down, you've got the backspin being imparted into the pitch. That could actually end up going over the fence. That could be one of the few home runs that the shorter guy with our stroke is going to hit. It could certainly be an extra base hit. Now, what does that have to do with cheating? Not much, but what I'm trying to say is, forget about the moral aspect of the issue. If you're practicing our swing, you don't really have to look for it. You don't have to know which pitch is coming. You can, your approach is to think to the opposite field, and if you get fooled, you might actually cross up the defense and end up getting a triple or a home run. So I don't see why. I do see why, I believe, why it's so important for players in the game today to know which pitch is coming. Their bats are 31 inches long. They're standing on top of the plate so they can try to cover the outside pitch. They just really don't have much adjustability at all. Their weight shift, for the most part, is not very far forward. Their bat is coming up in the finish very quickly, so they have to hit the pitch at just the right moment. Of course they have to know which pitch is coming, or to guess which pitch is coming. A lot of guys are getting hit too, which explains all the body armor, you know. I think that's probably, I'm just guessing, but I think maybe that's a result of a lot of guess hitting, and maybe even, see, this is one of the reasons I think that cheating and stealing signs it may be a bad idea, because how do you know that the sign that you're stealing is the correct one? They may know that you're stealing their signs, and they may deliberately cross you up. You think you're getting a breaking ball and it's a fastball, and you step right into it. And I have a feeling that a lot of guys have gotten badly injured by doing that. So I don't think stealing signs is even very healthy. I think it's hazardous to your health, as well as being immoral. So maybe if you practice our approach, you won't really need to steal a sign. Don't necessarily look for a certain pitch, just look for a pitch in a certain spot. And then if you're letting your hands do a lot of the work, your hands are amazing in the amount of adjustability they can give to your stroke. This is what I have to say about again, I'm not condoning cheating. I hate it that this happened, but it's going to be with us from now on. So why don't you just not let that get in your head? Use your approach to give you the kind of adjustability that you need to succeed.